Danny Flexen here for SecondsOut. Delighted to be joined by light heavyweight Anthony Yarde here at Box Up Crime in Ilford.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. As it's on the cusp now of your second world title shot, thought it'd be a good time to kind of go back over the whole journey. Don't worry, it's not going to take forever. I'm sure you'd be relieved to hear. But I guess first of all, we've heard so many stories about your childhood and problems on the streets and how you turned away from that life, and you now serve as an inspiration to a lot of kids from a similar background right here in East London, in fact. Just tell us a little bit about your childhood, your background, where you grew up, mum, dad, brothers, sisters, school, all that sort of stuff.
Well, I grew up in Forest Gate. I was born in Hackney. I grew up in Stratford. Shall I say, raised in Stratford, and I grew up in Forest Gate. So I lived in Stratford until I was about 15 years old. Spent my teenage years, rest of my teenage years in Forest Gate. Anyone that knows the areas, back in them days knew what it came with. A lot of like knife culture, gun culture, robbery, just gang stuff. I was never in a gang, just had my friends or whatever, and I was one of them people. I knew people from different gangs or from different areas, different postcodes. It was literally a thing that was going on in not just East London but London, called postcode wars. Everyone was seeing it on the news or in newspapers, or someone getting stabbed or shot. And then what is it over? Oh, I don't know. No one really knows. It's probably from where he was from, postcode war. He was in the wrong place, wrong time. Or boys have come and he was just standing on the corner of the street. They thought he was involved and he wasn't, or sometimes he was involved, or it's just that culture. So, I just lived a life growing up, looking over my shoulder. At one point I got involved in some of the things I shouldn't have got involved in. But that's what they call being a product of your environment. Sometimes you get dragged in. But yeah, other than that, cheerful Anthony, joyful Anthony. Love dancing, love laughing, joking. Bit of a bad temper sometimes, can fight. Knew everyone. Yeah, that was it really.
So, family-wise, well off, struggling. I know you've given your mum a lot of credit in the past for making sure you're always on the right path. Busy house, siblings. Tell us about that.
You know what? My mum was a boss. That's just the rules of it. My mum was a boss growing up. The thing that let my mum down was how good her heart was. She was too good of a person, man. She tried to help everyone. And again, that's something I've learned from my mum. Again, my boy Skanks, he just walked in. He's someone that, my mum, man, she was that person. She would give her last to help somebody. And that's what I learned. I said, that don't work. You ain't getting my last. You got to wait until I build up and then I will start. I'm not good. That's what I'm saying. Even at my age, I'm 31 now, I explained to my mum, I said, Mum, you know where your downfall was? You tried to play God. People get helped when they help themselves. Maybe you can put someone in a position where they can help themselves, or you can, temporarily help someone. You might have made £100,000. You can spare 2,000. Your ratio was mad, because my mum, she owned a very successful business called Geneva's. It was a club in Hackney, where I was born. Some people know of it. Very busy club. I remember being 8, 9 years old, my mum bringing back bags of money for us to count. And she might not have known what she was doing, but she was teaching me subconsciously to have money, get used to money, be that kind of person who is comfortable around money. And I feel like when you look at some dynamics of families, they say, once success is in your family, it breeds more success. Once you're in poverty, it breeds more poverty because you're taught it. So that's why I give my mom so much credit. And I'm a person, I'm very vigilant, and I pay attention. So I always like to study situations. I'm like, why did my mom end up losing her business? She tried to help everybody. She brought in the wrong crowds. she's trying to help that person that don't really deserve helping. Because they have a good tongue, they can talk their way in, they can say, oh yeah, you know, I need help, or they seem like a good person. You bring them in, they ruin your business. Or you might give your last. My mom showed what she's like with us as kids. My mom would maybe have, just giving out a random number, £100 right now. I would want £20. My two sisters would want £20. That's £60. We need shopping. The mathematics ain't adding up, but she'll make it work. So anyway, I was just telling you a bit about my mum and her good heart. I grew up with my sister, so I had an older sister and my younger sister. And this is when we was in Stratford. And then we moved to First Gate. My older sister moved out. She got a bit older. And my dad had these kids. And my dad, I think in total he had 7 kids. Including me. So we was close with the other siblings until the ages of like, I remember until I was around age 7, 8. And then obviously when you don't get involved in big people business, as they call it, after a certain period of time, everyone started drifting away. But as you get older, you realise that, yeah, the elders, you know, they went their separate ways for whatever reasons or whatever. And yeah, that's the challenge.
Did you, with having 2 sisters, no brothers, your dad living somewhere else, obviously you still had a relationship, did you feel a bit like the man of the house from quite an early age?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a Leo. Everyone's made and built different. I've always had that mentality. I want to provide. I've got that nurturing quality as well. Maybe I got that from my mum. I always want to look after the people around me. I want people around me to do better. Whether that's like, if you're selling drugs, bruv, don't come around me. If you're going out robbing people for no reason, don't come around me. If you feel like it's okay to rush somebody and not have a one-on-one, don't come around me. I was that person in school, no one's getting rushed in front of me. I'm the referee. No, one-on-one. You don't scrap it out. Whoever loses, like, you shake hands, like, just like the Travellers do. You know, you see their community, they will have a squabble. And then afterwards, someone will say, teach your man how to squabble. Teach your man. And that's it, they shake hands, because sometimes, you know, you've seen it the way you see it with the way the world is run. Different countries go to war. We don't really hear about it, but some of these people, it's brutal. They go to war over disagreements. And I think that Travellers have the same mentality. You have a disagreement, you fight. Now there's a hierarchy. Someone has more respect. You get what I'm saying? There's this. Someone's won. I don't agree with war. I don't feel like it's necessary at all. But in terms of that thing of you fight one-on-one, now there's a decision that's being made. You know, there's a hierarchy in terms of like men. You know, it's gone throughout history. There's a hierarchy. You see it in boxing matches. They have all this stuff to say in the beginning. Everyone's going back and forth. At the end of the fight, you always see a hug and a handshake, because it's called sportsmanship. Everyone's trying to feed their family. So that's the kind of person I was growing up. I'm a Leo, lions in the camp. I got a tattoo when I was 15 years old that says, "I'll do what I want." And when I was 15, that made sense. But I didn't mean it in terms of what it says. I meant it as like, do what you want to do and don't ever follow the crowd. So when some of my friends were, you know, if my friends wanted to go Dixie, I wanted to go to a Caribbean restaurant called Wenty's. So I will go Wenty's. Everyone's gone, yeah, I'll go on my own. Everyone's gone Dixie. Cool, I'll link you man back at Dixie in about 20 minutes. That was my personality from young. Never ever followed the crowd, and that's what I have my mum to thank. I have my mum to thank for that, because she allowed me to think for myself. We always had conversations. If I'd done something wrong, she'll question me about it. Like, so why did you do that? Caused me to think. And then whenever I made the wrong decision, it's because I was following someone else. You know right from wrong. You know really what to do. I'm a good person. I'm a godly person. I know right from wrong, so I always choose the right thing when I can. So if I do something that's out my character. My mum knows that it was influenced by someone else, so I don't know if I can swear or not. But there were sometimes you make some wrong decisions, and that's some pussy old thing. You're following someone else. Like, be a man, make your own decisions. So I started giving that off to some of my friends. But you're following my man. Do what you want to do. You're not a grown-ass man. So I wasn't like a little boy. So I wasn't like some pom-pom. Do you know what I'm saying? Do what you want to do. Don't make... And I told these kids, like, you're seeing the kids doing the community session downstairs. I say the same thing to them. You were smoking weed. You got kicked out of school. Oh, why did you do that? You was following him. I know you're a good boy. He's the troublemaker. And they will know who I'm talking about. You're the troublemaker. You're influencing him. Be a man. Stop being a little pom-pom. Stop following him. Is he your dad? Do you get what I'm saying? So it makes them look at themselves like, oh yeah, I'm being soft. Why am I following another guy? Like, let me do what I want to do. I want to be a leader. And then that way, everyone separates. Everyone has their own friendship groups. You end up attaching yourself to the people. Maybe you want to do bad things. The world is balanced. Everything in this world is balanced. There's good, there's bad. There's up, there's down. There's left, there's right. Everything has the opposite. So let the bad people stay with the bad people and stay on their side. But don't mix it and just be following people. Because the one that's good is the one that's going to get in trouble. It always happens because he's going against his will. I'm getting a bit deep here.
That's what we want. That's what we want. You grew up on a council estate in East London, as did I, strangely enough. And yeah, E1 over here, but yeah, the first and the best. But anyway, what was it that gave you the impression you could do not anything you want, as in not following the crowd, but you could achieve anything you want? That there was limitless ambition, because a lot of people from your background, my background as well, they feel like there's a ceiling to what they can achieve.
I discovered, you know what? Again, internet, yeah. It's got its goods and it's got its bads. Yeah, it's got good and bad sides. Just like I said earlier, everything's got opposite. It just matters which side you choose. And for me, when I realized that we have access to the internet from a young age, I said, what? I was, again, my boy Skanks is here, he would tell you, I was underneath my stairs, because my computer was underneath my stairs in Stratford. When I realized that you could go into Google and you could type in something and start getting information, I said, wow. I was I was underneath my stairs, just searching. I always wanted to be successful. Like, I always wanted to be a millionaire. I always wanted to be rich, because I didn't understand this whole thing of everyone struggling. Me and my boys here right now, we used to share something called 2 for 2. Like, you get 2 burgers, 2 chips for £2. You got a pan, I got a pan. Cool, say nothing. We're gonna share this thing. And I used to target one of my boys, Roland, because he had a small belly, and he would never finish it. So I used to be like, cool. I'm gonna end up with 2 chips and a burger. So I used to target him. I used to be like, cool. I'm sharing with Roland. Me and Roland, I said it. So that was literally how we all grew up. And then I used to say to myself, because remember, I went from my mum owning a club, I used to get a lot of money. I used to get £20 a day to go to school, up until like the end of year 8. Then it was like, raw, like my mum still trying to hide things. So she's still, and I got £5. And I can see she's upset. But that's still a lot of money. And then I had to start, I'm like, £5 ain't gonna get me my Wenty's thing that I used to like before, or my cartons of drink and I'm eating in class. You didn't want to go to Dixie's? I didn't really want to go to Dixie and have all greasy chicken and chips. But then again, I started to adapt. £1 and then again, I ain't got no money for school, and then now it's, hey, you man, we're gonna share 2 for 2. But now, I'm talking about school, that's when we started to get older. Nah. And then at a certain age, you don't want to ask your mum for money no more. Like, I'm a man, even at the age of about 14, 15, you mentioned my dad not being around or whatever, you do start to get that mentality, you're the man in the house. Which man in the man that has a guy ask his mum for £20? I never felt comfortable, it didn't feel right with me, so you get involved in the wrong things, you know. You start, again, I'm not going to tell you the story because I don't know where it will lead. Law enforcement, but there was a situation that was happening, and I started taking things I shouldn't have been taking and selling it in school. And then one of my boys, my doggy, he was involved in that stuff heavy. So when he saw it, he was like, what? He's like, I will take all of it because you're selling it mad cheap. So I was like, yeah, I'm getting it free. take all of it. So I remember he gave me like £2,000 in school year. This was like in year 10. £2,000 didn't tell no one. Yeah, guess what I went and did? I went Wembley Market. It shows you my hustler's mentality, yeah? I went Wembley Market. I bought, there was like counterfeit Pradas. There was counterfeit like Adidas tracksuits. Sorry Adidas, I know you're my sponsor right now. But this is in year 10.
I didn't know you then.
So I was going around, and then what I did, I had a hustler's mentality. I was buying these things for £20. Shotting it in school, £60 a tracksuit. I had bear sales. And I remember I punched one boy in his mouth in school, yeah, because he picked up on what I was doing, and he started trying to tell everyone, trying to ruin my hustle. Banged him in his mouth. Knocked his tooth out. And again, my boy Skanks is here as well. His sister got me in trouble as well in school, yeah, because she lied, yeah. I said that a boy put his hands on her, and in school I was a bit like, I was hot-headed. Yeah, I had like a reputation of being hot-headed. I was never a bully. No one could get rushed in front of me. I was a peacemaker. But if I got upset about something or something that wasn't right, like a boy hitting a girl, I was off. My head went. I was like, what? And Skanks was in school as well. If he was in school, he would have dealt with it. But he wasn't in school. All I heard was he hit me. I saw red. I want to beat up this boy now. Cause I didn't listen to the story properly. I didn't realize that she had hit him, broken his nose. No, she didn't break his nose, but she made his nose bleed, and he just like pushed her or something like that. But I found this out afterwards. I said to my boy, bruv, your sister made me knock this boy, like, I don't know what, I think he knocked his lip through his tooth or something like that. And I spoke to him after, I said, oh, I'm sorry, man. He's like, oh, no, it's fine, it's cool. Do you know what I'm saying? So in school, I was a bit like, I was very overprotective of what people I cared about. That's the only thing that would really get me angry. I even forgot what I was going with the story. What was I going with the story?
You were talking about being a hothead.
Yeah.
And your schemes that you came up with to make money.
That's it, it's making up peas, yeah. So that literally, that was my mentality in school. Like, try and find a way to make some money, and then it's all trial and error. Worked for a certain period of time, because it wasn't genuine, got me in trouble. I got older. One of my closest boys, yeah, he was doing, you realize certain people, we're getting older now, we're like 17, 18. Some of us are struggling, we ain't really got peas like that. Some of my boys, like, my car was like, my first ever car was an Audi. I couldn't afford it. Like, I learned the hard way. My insurance I couldn't afford, like nothing. The car got taken, put me in a lot of problems. And then I was just excited to be the first one driving. My other boy now, he's done things a bit more smooth, you know. He was doing whatever he was doing. So I said to him, I said, I know what you're doing. I know who your cousin is, like let me get involved in it over. And he was just like to me, nah. I know your mum, nah. Your mum's like my mum. My mum and your mum talk, like, I'll do my thing on the quiet, like, I'm not getting you involved, because then if anything goes wrong. So I was like, come on, man. And at the time, I saw it as like, he just don't want to put me on. He just wants to be greedy and have it all for himself. A couple months went past, I said it to him, because me and him were so close, we spoke about everything. I said, Baba, you know what, I just feel like you're being selfish. And you just want to be the one that's nice. He's like, and I just feel like you're better. Like, you're talented, bro. It's like, really and truly, I've always looked to you as like, yeah, like, I've always been that person that's competing with you. You've got that thing. Like, what I'm doing, that's not it. Now I've seen it in a different light. I'm like, you know what, cool. Carried on trying. Played football, got charged for QPR, got injured. Ended up getting injured when I was doing athletics. Like, nothing was just going right. Started boxing. Now I'm here.
That's the short story.
I'm glad we got to boxing. Why Tunde? Like, I know you did a lot of work with Tony Cesay, who actually, me and Tony grew up on the same estate in East London. I think I've told you that before. Lovely guy still. Why were you kind of drawn to Tunde after you'd done the initial little bit of work with Tony?
Do you know what? It wasn't a little bit of work. I still train with Tony now. Tunde just right now, he's my head coach, professional. We still got Ajayi, who's a vital part of my camp. We brought in James Cook again when we realised with it as a team that we needed, like, you know, another eye. You know, we needed another critic. We needed someone with a different type of experience. we're trying to go in that area. How I met Tunde was through my friend Jolene. She used to come to the track. I used to go to my track. I used to go track with my boy Curtis to do some running, extra fitness. And through conversation, oh yeah, I'm a boxer. I'm like going to be a boxer or whatever. She's like, oh yeah, I want to come down and do some training. Like, it's good to do other training or whatever. She come down, she saw me training with Tony. She's like, you're good. Like, have you ever met a guy named Tunde? I was like, no, who's that? And then she was like, oh, show me a video of him. I was like, oh, I've seen that guy. He does like the Mayweather pads. Like, yeah, like I remember that guy. I've seen him before. I was like, oh, you know him? And she was like, yeah. I could take you to train with him because I'll probably be going there in a couple of days or whatever. So I went there now, and then I see this guy doing the pads, and I was like, hey, that's sick. Like, I want to learn that. Done some training with him or whatever. He used to give me like 5 minutes, and then he was like, what have you won? Like, I train professionals. What have you won? I was like, nothing. I'm just starting off. And he's like, well, go and win something, then I'll train you because I only train professionals. I'm training this boy, Junior Saba, Otu Saba, talented boy. Then I was like, all right, cool. So he's like, all right, come back 5 in the morning, and then I'll give you some training. Went there again, he gave me like, I went there 5 in the morning to get 10 minutes of pads as well, so I was angry. But I kept going back. And then one day he said to me, no, you know what? I'm not doing pads with you no more. Go and actually win something, then I will give you pads again. I was like, this guy just don't want to train me, but cool, say nothing. I'm one of the people, I've got a strong will. I said, I'm going to still come back 5 in the morning. So then kept going there, but he wasn't giving me no pads. And at the end of the box cup, I knocked out everyone. So I was kind of like boasting, I was like, oh yeah. I ended the competition, I've knocked out everyone. I had 3 fights, won every fight by knockout. Can we start training again, yeah?
What's that?
I said, what, can we start training again, yeah?
Yeah.
So he just started laughing. He was like, yeah, he goes, tomorrow we'll do some pads. So then I sparred one of these boys. And then, yeah, we just elevated. But at the same time, all this time, I'm still amateur. I'm still training with Tony Cesay. And again, one of the happy moments for me was when Tony Cesay and Tunde, they met. And it was all like kind of training together. Tony used to come down. Tony used to like wear the body belt and still kind of spar me, kind of like. I'm not really hitting him hard, but he used to spar me. And it's just been like a 10-year grind, like consistent. So people talk about like, oh yeah, you've done this, you're training with this person. My trainings have always been the same. And my coaches, the people that taught me the fundamentals of boxing have always been the same. Another guy, I always have to mention as well, when I was 14 years old, my mum took me to a club called Leighton Youth, Fimba Harper. And
Irish by any chance?
huh?
Was he Irish?
No. He was the baddest man in East London. Ask anybody. Fimba, listen, in East London, he was the baddest man in the ends. Like, he wasn't a weapon man, nothing, but he would go somewhere and just beat up 5 men by himself. He probably won't want me saying this now because he's proper godly and God-fearing, but he's got a reputation. My mum said, and I was protected in East London because of Fimba. My auntie protected because of Fimba. My nan knew Fimba. When Fimba went prison, my nan used to go to prison and pray for him and things like that. That's why he's always had a protection for me. Again, I know his son as well. So it's like family. So I went there, done some training, and then my mum said I'm not going back because I ended up being in the ring sparring. And I was like, I was 14 years old, and I sparred some 17-year-old boy. She didn't care what happened. Obviously, I had a good account of myself. She didn't care. All she heard was I was in a boxing room. So I didn't go back. That's when I went off into like football, athletics, and things like that. Then yeah, man, I found myself here.
When the defeat to Kovalev happened, Tunde came in for a lot of criticism, more than you did, in fact. How did you feel about that at the time, and what was it ultimately that caused you to stick by him? Was it just loyalty, or was it conviction on your part that he's the man for the job?
I'm a very, very loyal person, and again, I said this earlier, I think for myself. I make my own decisions, and I don't follow the crowd. So when I think about things, I'm like, Tunde's never said to me, Anthony, don't leave me. Don't listen to them, please. Don't, please. He's never done all that.
Worst Tunde impression ever.
Yeah, but you know, that's not how he talks about. I've just always said, relax. Everyone just keep doing their job. You know what I'm saying? No one here is perfect, you know, because nobody was saying anything when I started my career and I was knocking at everyone in the first round. Second round, third round, I hadn't gone past the 4th round until like my 15th fight. No one was saying nothing. Everyone was like, oh, these are amazing. Or, I don't really like that Tunde, he's a bit arrogant. Or, but in terms of people saying leave, no one was really saying that. But I'm a person, I'm obsessed with progression. So when I realised, cool, we got to another level, we're fighting for world titles, where the competition is getting thicker, yeah, we do all need to level up. You know, me included, you, Tunde, Ade, like there's grillings happening in my camp. Like we all gang up on each other. We're like, bruv, where you been? You ain't been in a couple of days. You're talking about this and that. I don't care about your personal life. What? No one can say nothing because I went through shit during lockdown and I was still here. Don't talk to me about don't come with excuses. Excuses can't exist around here. Tunde again, one thing I can say about him, there's never been a day at the gym, not once. So me and him have competition, like, if he misses a day because he's had dentist, I'm like, you come with all this dentist talk, you miss gym. If I have the same thing, you come with all this, it's usually dentist or something like that, you miss gym. If I've got anything, if I've got a birthday, my own birthday, I train, then I enjoy myself. That's just how we're all built. So we got a strong campaign. James Cook's come in with his, his expertise and his experience, and he just fits, like he's fitted in. And we all trust his opinion as well. Like he's got us doing certain runs and he's picking up on certain habits. So he's like, throw that shot after you've done that. That's excellent. But throw that shot after, and we're like, yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. And we talk. We're like, you do that. I'm like, the reason I don't do that is because of that. See, I didn't think of that. So it's like it just works. And there was other people that that was in mind. Who was gonna. Ben Davison. I think he's an excellent coach. He came up in conversation, and Tunde, one thing that surprised me about Tunde that I really appreciated is Tunde, when it came to progression, his ego left. His ego went out the window. We sat down as a team and said, yeah, like, it needs to be a thing where someone needs to come and like help a little bit, or because we're clearly doing something right. Because Tony did something right with me, 12 amateur fights. 11 amateur fights, 12, can't remember. It was mixed and match. Someone said to me the other day, you actually had 11. That's what someone said to me, and I was like, 12. They were like, no.
Change the narrative now.
Do you get what I'm saying? And then they said to me, you had 11, 10 knockouts. And I was like, you sure? I was like, no, it was 12, 11 knockouts. They were like, nah. But anyway, Tony's done an excellent job with me. Taught me to be a showstopper. That's what he used to call me. He's be like, you want to go there, be the showstopper, stop the show. Tunde made me add a bit of skill to my game, reflexes and catching, countering, all that kind of stuff. It just works hand in hand. So when Tunde he didn't have no ego when it comes to progression, I said, this is why your passion for boxing. This guy eats and lives and breathes boxing, studying fights, and watching boxing and just trying to be better. I'm the same. And then that thing of like bringing in someone like James Cook, and we listen, like me as well. When a student in the game gives me some advice, I sat next to Usyk. That was there at the Fury and the Fury Cesay fight, and Usyk was talking to me. I was listening. I'm a person. I'm so humble when it comes to learning.
What did he tell you? What did he say?
I think that's between me and him. He was just telling me some things, and he fought Beterbiev twice. He was just telling me some things. And
advice.
Just a little advice, just a little things. Lovely guy. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm the same. Like when you see me smiling and laughing, it's not fake. You can see he's the exact same. Like he's bubbly, but he can fight. And yeah, man, I feel like that's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. Just being a student and trying to learn, And everyone's gonna be a critic when things ain't going right. When things are going well, there's an awkward silence. No one's there to talk. They're only going to have their opinion for the next fight, but then that's what they say, silence your critics, but that's not really my goal. My goal is just to be the best person I can be.
You talked about lockdown there. Obviously, you suffered two devastating personal losses during that time, 5 in total. Apparently now, I've only just found out, but it was obviously known at the time you lost your father and your grandmother. Maybe if you feel comfortable, you can tell us about the other 3 also. But how did that affect you? Because it was going into the first Lyndon Arthur fight. can't have been easy preparing for that and trying to maintain focus while all that was going on the side as well.
You know what it is? The reason I'm so open, yeah, is because I'm a human. And people, sometimes, I feel like me getting into boxing and being in the public eye, I made that decision. You know, I feel like I could have done anything and been successful at it, but I wanted to, boxing is what called me and what my passion was. So I think a mistake I made was initially putting on my Instagram saying my dad's died from COVID. At the time, it felt like it was a good idea. You know, people are going through it. Sometimes people are committing suicide because they've lost somebody, and a lot of people are going through it, you know. But what I didn't realise that was going to come with that is everybody bringing it up. Everyone I saw in the street was saying, I'm sorry to hear about your dad. I go to my local corner shop, oh my gosh, your dad's gone. Let me pray for you. Well, I just want a chocolate bar, bro. Like, I just come for a little drink. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk about that right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not just you. Every interview I done, like around that time, and I didn't get a chance to mourn. So I was just putting on this brave face. I was being the strength for my family and all that kind of stuff. So then I didn't realise I ended up being a bit depressed. I didn't realise at the time. So only when I realised I was going home, I was coming to the gym because I have to do that, going to the gym. I was going straight home. I wasn't seeing none of my friends. I was urinating in plastic bottles in my room. Didn't want to leave my room. I did anything to not leave my room. I was ordering Uber Eats. My mum was saying, Aunt, I've cooked. All right, thanks, Mum. I was eating that, leaving the plate. I'll come back after training, the plate's gone. So obviously my mum's been in my room. Like, during that time, my family had to be together, so everyone came together, everyone was in the same house. But I wasn't leaving my room. You know, I was when 3-4 bottles powered up, I'll take them to the toilet. If I need to shit, I'll go shit, empty them out, throw them bottles in the bin. But then I realised a habit, a pattern. I was coming home from training. I made weight for that fat so easy because I wasn't eating. Like, I was eating but not properly. And then when I actually analysed the thing that was happening, I said, raw, I think this might be a bit of depression, you know, because I'm overcompensating I'm coming to the gym, everything's funny, I'm laughing at. It's not, I'm a bubbly person anyway, but I'm trying to avoid anyone talking to me about anything serious. I don't want to have no serious conversations. So only one time I realised, my mum tried to come in my room and I was, what are you doing? Why are you coming in my room? She looked around and she was like, Anthony, you right? I was like, I'm good, man, I'm good. What's wrong? What's wrong? Do you need anything? No, I'm just telling you, I'm going out. All right, cool, be careful, like, I don't know, spray the air or something before you walk out, like, disinfect the air or some shit. But then I realised, when my mum looked around, she looked at me a bit like, worried, like, what are you doing? I started to, like, look at things properly, and I spoke to a couple of my boys. They were like, yeah, like, one of my boys, well, his dad passed, and he wasn't that close to his dad. But then when his dad passed, it was like a realisation. It's time for the family to come together. I wasn't that close to my dad, but then when that happened, I was like, it's actually a part of you, innit? Like, it's part of you that's actually, like, that's gone. So again, I feel like even my boy, we grew from that kind of situation. When you're talking about other people, my dad and his mum, they passed like 6 days apart. That was hard on the family. And then about 2 months later, one of his sisters passed, and then his dad passed. So that was all close to home. And then again, my other nan, she died as well. They said it was a stroke, but then they tried to label it as COVID. It was all too much. So when everything was happening, and the last 2 deaths happened like 2 weeks before the Lyndon Arthur fight. But then I don't want to tell no one now, because the last time I told people that we had deaths in the family, that's all everyone's talking about. Every interview I do, I said, let me not tell no one. I went into that fight with Lyndon Arthur. I was going back to the wrong corner. That fight felt like a gaze. I couldn't remember like none of the fight afterwards. He didn't hit me. None of us really landed any punches apart from one of the rounds where I stuck it on him a little bit. I think that was like little jabs. Like, we spar all the time. Like, but I couldn't remember like what was happening. I was like, but I won that fight. That's all. That was an easy fight. What were they seeing? When I watched the fight, I said, geez, hey, this is not the same fight I was watching. Again, after watching the fight, I still feel like it was a shit fight. It was boring, but I still feel like I won the fight. Even now, to this day, I feel like I still won the fight, but thank God, because that brought back that switch to say, cool, you man, you don't want to see touch Anthony, you don't want to see sparring, you want to see me take someone out. So Yeah. One thing I learned from that situation is your mind needs to be right to go into professional boxing, because no one cares about, oh, look what he went through and should he be in the ring. No one cares about that stuff. People care about the result. So again, that's why since that happened, I've had 3 fights since then. 3 fights. I've had the rematch with Lyndon Arthur, had a fight in Birmingham, and had a fight a couple of weeks ago. No games.
And now Artur Beterbiev, that's not going to be any sort of game. You're taking it very seriously. I'm sure he is too. Why is this the right time for you to win that world title, whereas obviously Kovalev wasn't? You've been through a lot. Why are you now ready to get to the very top?
I just feel like it's destiny. You know, you can do all the talking in the world. It's something I learned as well, because before the Kovalev fight, I was saying, yeah, I'm going to knock him out and do these kind of things for entertainment purposes. But now I'm a lot more like, I'm just zen. Like, I'm just so like calm, because you just got to handle business. And I feel like the only thing I could talk about are things that I've done now to this point. And that's, no one's got the heart that I've got. No one's got the balls that I've got. Like, there's so much people that protect their stuff, and they're not real the fighters, but mentally they haven't got that thing. Like everything's about, you know, maybe roots and making sure it's all perfect and wait until there's a vacant title. You don't want to fight that guy. That guy's a monster. That guy's got 18 fights, 18 knockouts, 18 wins. He's an Olympic. He's been Olympics. He's done this. He's got all the experience in the world. Like, he's Russian. He's made of iron, and I don't want to fight that guy. Bring him. I want to fight that guy. That's how I want to do it. Because 50 Cent said it. Joy wouldn't feel so good if it wasn't for pain. Death's got to be easy because life is hard. Do you get what I'm saying? 50 Cent said it. That's a legendary bar.
Physically, mentally, and emotionally scarred.
Physically, no, it's not no scars.
No, but that's the second.
That's the bar. Physically, mentally. This is for my on the block. Doing the treat as a girl. When niggas don't laugh behind bars. I don't say only judge can judge because I see things clear. No, but it's actually facts, because if we didn't know about pain or anything going wrong, we wouldn't know what joy feels like. We would not appreciate the sun. Like, people that live in sunny countries, I always ask them that question. They hide from the sun. They're like, no, I don't want to be in the heat. You ain't been in England. You get what I'm saying? You always, whatever you're used to, it becomes a norm. You don't appreciate it no more. It's like, so you wouldn't understand the real joy. You wouldn't cry if you win a unified world title of the world. You wouldn't feel so much joy and happiness if that's what you was born with. If I had won that first fight, that's normal now. It's like, all right, cool, yeah, it's not going to feel as, it would have felt amazing at the time, but you see, this one, and this one feels right. The last one didn't feel right. Going to Russia, there was so much like ums and ahs, like, we're going to Russia, huh? Yeah, we're fighting for the unified title of the world. Beterbiev. We know who's got the belts. Beterbiev. Let's get it cracking. It's in England. Hey. Let's make it happen.
What is going to happen?
We'll have to tune in to BT Sports on the 28th of January. If you haven't got your tickets and you're not there in attendance, beautiful.
Anthony Yarde, thank you.